Penelope Keith needs no introduction. We talked in a very noisy restaurant, and I began by asking her about her earliest memories of the theatre.
My family initially were from Clapham and Balham, so I was living at my grandmother's with my mother. And she took me, I went to see Cinderella, Streatham Hill, when I was 2, apparently. And the moment the Ugly Sisters came on, I said, I don't like those nasty men. And that was it. And I never did like clowns, because I couldn't bear people getting hurt, and they were always hurt. But I remember, well, I don't remember it, but I do know that was my very first thing. But of course the thing is, my mother, who was a working mother, divorcee, took me to the theatre every holiday, because that was my treat. So I saw things like The King and I don't know if I saw South Pacific. Yes, I saw South Pacific.
This was locally around South London?
No, in London. I was always taken up to London. The first play I ever saw was one called The Young Elizabeth, with Mary Morris.
Oh, yeah.
And it was lovely, because I worked with Mary in a television series. And when someone asked me about, going to theatre, and I said yes, I think I was 7 or 8. I was very young when I saw it, and I can remember it was at The Cry, and Mary Morris. I remember seeing separate tables when I was young.
These were all the original productions, I think.
Yes. Because Mummy took me to the theatre. I remember seeing Call Me Madam, Damn Yankees at the Coliseum, all those big musicals. Of course, I then went on when I was at drama school to go and see everything. But those were the early plays.
And at that point, did you decide that's what you wanted to do?
Oh, I wanted to do that from the time I was 5. That was it.
And did you do any? Did you do school productions?
Oh, yes, school plays. Yeah, and Brighton festivals. Because I was at school in Seaford. At boarding school. So I did Brighton festivals, things like that.
What did you do? What parts were you playing it?
Well, in the Brighton Festival, it was verse speaking. And we had to do the sonnet to Crabbedage and Youth Cannot Live Together, there's Shakespeare. Youth is full of pleasance, age is full of care. I can remember it there. I think I won that, I can't remember, yes, I think I did. And
what age was this?
I must have been about 11 or 12. And my school won the school verse speaking one as well. Because it was a convent school, but it was a heavy emphasis on drama.
They did elocution, and then
yes,
from that they did speaking competitions, poetry,
that's
whatever.
Right. That's right, and it wasn't about speaking posh. No. It was about speaking so other people could understand you and hear you.
And understanding the mechanics of speaking.
Exactly. I think everybody had elocution lessons.
Yeah. I think I just missed that. I think I possibly knew a few people that did, but I think that had passed. It was very much a sort of 40s and early 50s thing.
Yes, it was. And as I say, I'm not talking about accents at all.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? It's the actual timbre, and I'm sure...
Which is a bit of a prerequisite, actually.
Well, I would have thought so, because you do actually want an audience to want to listen to the sound.
Absolutely.
Like someone playing a violin well.
I was talking to Ben Whitrow last week. He worked at the Bristol, and when O'Toole came back and did a season there when they were trying to raise cash, and everybody was just standing there watching him and learning.
Yeah.
And I mean, I did exactly the same.
Yes, exactly.
I never spent it when I was there. Never spent any time in dressing room. I was always in the wings watching.
No, you never get that. It's interesting. I was thinking that the other day when Max Bygraves died. I remember doing a gala. Oh, back in the 60s for Michael Robbins, who I'd been in rep with his wife Hal Dyer. They lived in Wimbledon, and I did a gala. And they managed to get Max Bygraves. It must have been 60, God knows what, 1 or 2. And my grandmother adored Max Bygraves. I, of course, didn't think much of Max Bygraves because, all that. And I remember standing in the wings and watching as he walked on, and I'd never seen anything like it. I was just amazed. Within 30 seconds.
Absolutely.
He had them there. It was quite extraordinary. And funnily enough, they all spoke about it during his obituaries.
You could only learn that by going on twice nightly in Glasgow or something.
And I can remember thinking, who had been quite sort of, I was, early 20s, an actress, and just looking at it, thinking, this is quite fantastic. You should bottle it and sell it. Of course you can't. But one learns so much. You learn so much about being in the
One of the themes in my book is working with comedians or non-actors, which I think you've done quite a lot of.
A lot.
And
They're my heroes.
And Joe Jewson had as well.
They're my heroes. I always say to young actors, I say, I knew Frankie Howard a bit. I worked with Morecambe and Wise, and I saw Les occasionally, and I said, they reach peaks that we couldn't even think of, because they go out there totally naked, and within 3 minutes they've got them, and if they haven't.
Which is fine, but if you have to work with them in a straight thing, then it becomes a problem, does it
yes,
not?
Yes. Well,
because you're coming from completely different places.
Yes. I mean, I haven't done as much as Joe did. Joe did a lot. I had my 15 minutes of fame with Eric and Ernie. We were lucky with The Good Life because it was one of the first situation comedies when all the actors had come from the same background, the four of us. We'd done our training, we'd done our rep, and we'd done a bit of classic. Because I'm not funny. I'm only...
You've made a career out of being funny.
Well, no, I've been very lucky to play some of the great comedy roles. But I'm not funny myself. So no.
I would disagree with that. I think you are funny, and I think that's why.
I've got some funny bones. I think I understand playing comedy now. It is timing, yes, and all that, but it's also being aware of the audience. Well, Michael, I remember when I was doing Time in the Conways. They were all young, of course, but I remember talking to one of the young men who was sweet, lovely. And he'd done a bit of maybe 2 or 3 fringes, or odd fringe things, and he'd done 2 or 3 lines on television, and this was the first time he'd had a reasonable part in a tour. And I said, and he was 25, I said, you see, the difference is that when I was 25, I probably played 40 or 50 professional roles, 49 of which were probably bloody awful, but I'd actually stood up on a stage in front of a paying audience and done it.
When you went to drama school, how did that come about? When was it decided that you should go to drama school? At what point?
Well, I left school early because I took my O-levels early, and there was no question of A-levels or university. I always wanted to act. And I was just 15, so I went to France for 6 months because I was too young. And then I started applying, so I went very young to drama school, to Webber-D. That's what I always wanted to do, so there was no question of not. So, and I went to Central, I applied there, and they told me I was too tall to be an actress. Vanessa had just left. So I didn't get in there. And then Webber-D was the other one I tried for, so I was there for 2 years.
What year was this? 58-ish?
57 to 59. 57, 58.
Who was there with you?
Who was there? Samantha Egger was the year below me. Terry Stamp. Rick Jones was there. Marina.
Burkoff was...
Burkoff was there, yes. He and I entered the Carlton Hops things together. Stephen and I.
What memories do you have of him? Did you work with him at all?
Yes, but not a lot. They don't loom very large, really. Both did the Carlton Hops radio thing together. We were taught by lovely Ivan Sampson at drama school, and you had to stand an arm's length away from the microphone. I can remember it still. I can remember it vividly. This is what you had to do. Wonderful.
When you left drama school, what was your first job?
Chesterfield. Weekly round, 6 months, Chesterfield. I started in September. Civic Theatre.
It was an old theatre?
Called the Pomegranate, yes.
The Pomegranate?
It's now called the Pomegranate. Why don't they? I can't remember an awful lot about it.
And then
Lincoln.
Because you were there the season before, weren't you? Because you were there with Stephanie Cole.
Yes, I was there with Steph. Pam Miles, who I still see and hear from.
Do you remember those excursions we had in London?
Yes, absolutely.
And we had this thing with you. Because when I contacted you last year, I always remember you having an Austin A35, a pale blue,
no,
light blue.
It wasn't an Austin, it was a Triumph. It was a standard 8, little standard 8.
But it looked a bit like an Austin.
No, yes, but it was a standard 8, double D clutch.
And you were one of the very few people who had cars in those days. I mean, nobody had cars.
Nobody had cars at all.
I think the only people I knew in those days who had cars, Jimmy Bolam had a car.
Yes. Yes.
And a couple of Stephen Hancock, do you remember Stephen Hancock? He had a car. And I think the three of you, the only people I know in those days had a car.
And there's about 4 or 5 people in it. Yeah, double clutch.
Well, we went to see Gypsy in the ABC.
That's right. That's
Fulham.
right.
This was the wonderful thing in our day. Were the stories?
Absolutely.
Do they still? I mean, those stories still around?
No, I think maybe.
I mean, I remember like the Robert Atkins stories.
Flower. You see, flowers ale is piss. Yes, but you see, who was it? We were talking about a story the other day, and no one knew who we were talking about. It was awful. When I worked with A.J. Brown on Donkeys, yes, he was fascinating. He'd been a pilot in the First World War. But he said when he joined the theatre as a young man, just after the First World War, when the older actors spoke of Irving, they'd either take their hats off or stand up.
Sir, it's the old dresser thing, sir.
Exactly.
But it's just so almost soul-destroying that the heritage of it
Which is the
lost.
important thing.
And that's what I want to just get down on paper, because in 10 years' time there won't be any people who've left who've worked in rep.
No, they won't. No, they
Certainly, I mean, even the ones who worked in weekly rep. I mean, weekly rep fizzled out, I suppose, the early 60s. But
Yes. No, I mean, when I say to people, and I worked in weekly rep, they are absolutely amazing.
Or even twice nightly weekly rep.
Yes, no, I never did that. Johnny Normington did, but I never did.